Have you ever wondered what really separates the majority of people from the top 1%? You might think that the super successful got there because of their intelligence, privilege, or luck, but it's actually something far more accessible than that. The main thing separating you from the top 1% is not luck or talent, it's mindset. And the best part is that mindset can be learned, developed, and strengthened like a muscle. Hi, I'm Dr. Shamim Nazir. Over the past 2 decades, I worked as an emergency room physician. I was making a great living, but I was also burned out and exhausted. And I felt trapped in a cycle of working and spending. But when I began to change how I thought about money, work, and purpose, everything shifted. Today, I want to share with you the 7 mindset shifts that transformed my life from burnout to freedom and from employee to entrepreneur and investor. For years, I followed the traditional path. Study hard, get a good job, work hard, and everything will fall into place. But that formula works until it doesn't. Eventually, I realized that I was stuck on a treadmill. I was running hard, but never moving closer to freedom. My life was full of motion, but not progress. And then I realized that leaders think differently. They create solutions instead of waiting for someone else to provide them. They take ownership of their own lives. And when I stopped thinking like an employee and started thinking like a leader, I realized that I didn't need anyone's permission to create change. I could build something of my own that solved real problems for people like myself. That realization led me to experiment with new ventures. I tried a telemedicine company, a real estate business, podcasts, and educational events. Some ideas succeeded and some failed, but each one taught me more than any paycheck. Over time, I worked less at my job and more on my ideas. I found new energy because I was creating things that mattered to me and to others. So I'd encourage you to start thinking like a leader. You don't need to wait for someone else to agree with you. Take ownership of your life and start creating what you want. And the next shift is to see problems as opportunities. Every major business innovation in the world started as a solution to a problem. Think about it. Uber, for instance, solved the problem of not being able to find a ride, and Amazon solved the problem of convenience and access. When we face challenges in life or business, our first instinct is to often be frustrated or fearful. But hidden within every problem is an opportunity for service and growth. When I was in medicine, I noticed so many doctors were feeling overwhelmed by financial stress. They were intelligent, successful people, but most of them had never been taught how to manage or grow their money. That realization became the seed for the doctor investor. So when you encounter an obstacle, train yourself to pause and ask, what problem is this showing me and how can I help solve this for myself and others? And remember, the bigger the problem you solve, the greater the impact and the higher the reward, because every opportunity begins with seeing what everyone is seeing, but thinking what no one else has thought. Next, shift from scarcity to abundance. Many of us grow up hearing messages like money doesn't grow on trees or save every dollar because you never know what will happen. While those ideas are from good intentions, they also create a scarcity mindset. Scarcity tells us that there's never enough, not enough time, money, or opportunity. Abundance, on the other hand, says there's always a way to create more by adding value. Money, in truth, is a lot like energy. It's meant to flow. Accumulating money in your savings account doesn't create any value for you or others. In fact, it loses value due to inflation. However, when you spend or invest, it moves the economy. When you buy groceries, that money pays the workers, the suppliers, and transporters. Those people then spend money on their own needs, and the cycle continues. As Ray Dalio once said, one person's spending is another person's income. So instead of fearing money or clinging to it, learn to let it move with intention. Invest in things that grow, like your business, your education, or assets that produce value. Money is meant to circulate, not stagnate. And next, invest in yourself. You are your greatest investment. People talk endlessly about investing in stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency, but they rarely talk about investing in themselves, their mindset, their health, and their skills. When I began my entrepreneurial journey, I spent over $100,000 on courses, mentorships, and self-development. Some of them didn't give me any immediate results, but all of them changed how I thought and made decisions. It's easy to feel guilty for spending on yourself. You might think going to the gym is taking time away from family, or taking a course is an unnecessary expense. But the truth is, you are your most valuable asset. Furthermore, you can't enjoy the wealth or the life you create if you're not physically and emotionally healthy. So make it a priority to invest in your mindset, your body, and your education. The next big shift is to understand your why. Many people say they want more money or success, but they don't know why. They chase vague goals and end up feeling burned out and unfulfilled. Clarity creates power. Dean Graziosi teaches an exercise exercise called the 7 levels deep. You ask yourself why 7 times to get to the root of your motivation. For example, I may say I want to be financially independent. The next question would be, why do I want to be financially independent? Well, because I want freedom. Well, why do I want freedom? Because I want to spend time on things that I enjoy. So as you can see, by the 7th level, you would uncover your real reason, your true emotional drive as to why you want what you want. When you know your why, action and discipline becomes easier. You stop chasing those ambiguous goals and you start taking focused action that leads to tangible results. And the next shift is to value relationships. You might think success is a solo journey, but it never is. Every meaningful opportunity I have ever had came through people, mentors, and friends. Relationships are the invisible network that holds your life together. Even the simplest things you rely on, your food, your electricity, your safety, all come from collective effort. And when you invest time in building genuine relationships, you multiply your opportunities. And collaborations can also offer additional resources and unique perspectives when you're developing an idea. So never underestimate the power of connection. The stronger your relationships, the stronger your foundation for success. And finally, take imperfect action. Knowledge without action achieves nothing. Colin Powell, former U.S. Secretary of State, famously said that you need between 40 to 70% of the information to make a decision. If you wait for more than that, if you want 80% or 100% of the information, you will miss your opportunity to act. Gathering data and thinking can only get us so far. Sometimes the only way to truly understand how something will work is by doing it. It's like riding a bike. We can analyze and talk about it all day, but you won't know how to ride a bike until you get on it and try. Analysis and preparation are important, but overthinking can become the enemy of progress. And finally, as Alex Hormozi says, you don't lose unless you quit. You can pivot, adapt, or restart, but don't stop moving forward. Every step counts. When you change how you think, you change how you live. So which shift will you start today? Let me know in the comments. If this resonated with you, make sure to join our email list to receive updates on our latest offerings. You can do that by downloading our free guide to real estate syndications or opting into our email list through our website. I'll leave a link in the description below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.